Hey BookTube, this is Friday Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and I have several to tell you about, plus some print books that I'm kind of excited about. So a couple of the books that I read last week were DNFs, and so I will begin with those. One was Soar by Alyssa Rose Ivey. This is book one in the Empire Chronicles, and it is narrated from 2 points of view by Laura Darrell and James Fooey. I don't really know about the narrators. I will say that in the very short snippet that I listened to, I wasn't paying much attention. I was doing something else. And I think you need to pay attention to a book when it's starting out, just so you get a feel for the characters and stuff. And I don't know. And I just didn't care. This is YA paranormal, and I think it's, there are so many books out there that are like this one. I just wasn't in the mood. I couldn't concentrate on it. It didn't grab me, so yeah. Oh well. The other one that I DNF'd was called Turbulence. This is by Whitney G. It's adult romance, and it's narrated by Erin Mallon and Joe Arden. And I love those two narrators. I really always pretty much enjoy the books that they've done, especially recently. But this now, it just started out kind of intense and angsty, and I don't know. You can read the synopsis on Goodreads, and I think that you'll pick up what I'm talking about. It was just not my thing. Okay, so the first book that I did like that I'm going to talk about is The Becoming of Noah Shaw. And I want to bring this one up because I got a box in the mail from Simon & Schuster this week. And it was a Goodreads giveaway that I won. Well, I never win anything. So I opened the box, and it is a box set of the Mara Dyer trilogy, which I just like a lot. I mean, it's paperbacks in a box set, so really nice. So I was thrilled about that, and I thought, oh, that's wonderful. Well, the next day, I get another box in the mail, and I opened it up, and it had this, which is a hardback cover copy of The Becoming of Noah Shaw, which is book one in the Shaw Confessions, and that is the follow-up series to Mara Dyer. It picks up after the Mara Dyer series has ended. On audio, this is narrated by Joe Jameson. So I was just kind of floored. I thought, wow, I didn't realize I was going to get 4 books in this giveaway. So yeah, it was kind of cool. So this book, Joe Jameson, let's talk about the narrator. Well, he's British, and he voiced Noah Shaw with a British accent, which Noah Shaw has, and he really did capture Noah for the most part. He did some of the accents well and some of them not so well. I will say that he did the character of Daniel really, really well. I was impressed with that. He did a couple of times with certain words, he gave them the British pronunciation rather than the American pronunciation, which this book is set in America, so it's more appropriate that it have that American pronunciation of some words. Like at one point, the characters are listening to a newscaster on television report something, and they talk about something in a laboratory, and he pronounces it laboratory, which is fine. It's just that's not the way we say it. So, you know, little things like that. Overall, I think the narration was above average. I think that it may have lifted the book up a little bit in terms of my rating, maybe. I don't know. This is all about Noah Shaw and his continuing experiences with Mara Dyer and his other friends. And it really is a murder mystery more than anything else. It ends on a cliffhanger, so be aware. What I wish I had done is wait to read this until all of the books were out, because then you can read them in succession, and I think that you get a better experience with it. But I ended up giving it 3 stars. It didn't bowl me over. It seems like it took a while to listen to, and it was kind of tedious at times. So yeah, for that reason, I gave it 3 stars, but I still recommend it. I would, however, recommend that you wait until all the books are out and then read them all. So that was that one. I picked up Geekerella. This is by Ashley Poston and is narrated from 2 points of view by Eileen Stevens and Tristan Morris. Eileen Stevens was really good in this book. I really enjoyed her characterization of Elle, the main character. I thought she captured her perfectly. She had the young voice that you would expect from a young girl like this, and she just, all of the emotions, and there were some complicated emotions going on here because it's a Cinderella retelling. So you have the confidence that the Cinderella character has, but you also have the insecurity, and that's hard to balance because this is a character that's been told she's worthless for much of her life. So to balance that with a tone that communicates confidence and yet this insecurity and feeling like she's not good enough, she just did that really well. So high marks to Eileen Stevens. Now, Tristan Morris, I was not as impressed with because I feel like the character was, his name was Darian. I feel like he was much more confident than Morris communicated. There were times when he was, you know, like he's a movie actor and he's doing some stunts, and so he's terrified to jump off a 50-foot like precipice, you know, like I think it's a building, and he's in a harness and everything, but he's really nervous. And the stunt coordinator says, "Hey, should we replace you? Should we call in a stuntman?" And he says, no, it's fine. Well, see, I think that there was more confidence going on there than insecurity and fear of having to jump off a building. But Morris didn't really do that. He communicated a lot more of the flaws in the character than the strengths. And so, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't overly thrilled with him. And in fact, I read this with Lisa, my friend at Books and Smiles, and she got a ways into it and she said, you know, I'm not feeling this book. And I said, you know what? You need to switch over to the print, to the ebook, and read it that way. And as soon as she did that, she loved it. So it upped her rating from maybe a 2.5, 3-star book to about a 4. So I'll let her tell you about that in a wrap up. But I will say that with regard to the narration, yeah, that was the case with Tristan Morris. The story is so sweet. It's a Cinderella retelling, and you have Elle, who is a blogger, and she blogs about a television show that her dad was a huge fan of. So was her mom. They were very much into going to conventions and cosplay, and her dad even started a convention. And he died, so she has the evil stepmother, one evil stepsister, and one stepsister that kind of goes along with the evil stepsister and doesn't really think it's right. She does have a bit of a conscience, but she doesn't do anything about it. And poor Elle, she does not ever get a break, and bad things keep happening to her. And it is truly the Cinderella story because your heart breaks for her a lot. Darian is the prince, and he, like I said, is a pretty high up A-list actor in a very popular television show, kind of a soap opera-y kind of show. And he's only 18, but he has been cast in the movie that is based on this television series that Elle blogs about. Okay, the fans of that series are very, very avid fans, and they stick to canon and they don't like deviations. And she is convinced that this Darian guy is going to completely ruin the entire movie. She's like, what were these people, these casting directors thinking? So there's your relationship and your story. You know the Cinderella story, so it does follow that pretty closely. So it was just a delightful book. I did get frustrated at times because this girl just couldn't get a break. Disappointment after disappointment kept happening to her. And I know the Cinderella story, and I knew how it was going to play out in her favor eventually, but boy, it takes a long time to get there. So anyway, I ended up giving that 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. I picked up Dear Aaron by Mariana Zapata. I love Mariana Zapata. This is narrated from 2 points of view by Callie Dalton and Teddy Hamilton. Callie Dalton has done most of Mariana Zapata's books on audio, and she's wonderful. I have always enjoyed her, always. And I would say that she probably brought this book up a little bit in terms of my evaluation of it. Teddy Hamilton was really good. I think he balanced Callie Dalton's narration really well. They played off well with each other and captured the characters really well. You know, you just can't go wrong with good narrators, and these two were really, really enjoyable to listen to. The book is about a girl who signs up with an organization that forms relationships between soldiers and regular people as pen pals. And so she writes to this guy, and he doesn't respond, and then finally he does. So it's the story of their relationship, and it's interesting. It really, at some points, does walk a fine line between how safe is it to meet someone that you've never met before, that you only know from writing and emails and instant messages. Like, how smart is that? Is that safe? So it walks a fine line there, but I think it pulls it off. And although I do love Mariana Zapata, I didn't love this one as much as I've loved other books that she's written. So, you know, it's not bad by any means, and I would recommend it. But it's not my favorite of hers. I think that's hard for an author who writes really good stuff to outdo herself each time. But it was very sweet, and in the end, I was really glad I read it. So I would recommend that fairly highly. I gave it 4 stars. I finally finished The Dreamer by E.J. Mellow on my iPad. I had been reading that for, I don't know, weeks. And that frustrates me because I get through a book in about a day, day and a half. And so it is paranormal romance, and it's about a girl who, when she gets hit by lightning, and then when she dreams, she wakes up in a different world. And it's a world where the people that live there guard humans in their dreams. And it's a complicated relationship that they have. It's a symbiotic relationship, but it's complicated. And so that ended up being pretty good, actually. I kind of liked it. I gave it 3 stars. And then I read the novella that comes immediately after it called Dreamcatcher. And, you know, it gave you the perspective of the love interest. And I just wasn't that impressed with it because it didn't offer anything new. I mean, I already knew some of the main points from the first book, and it just kind of gave you his perspective, his opinions, his feelings more than anything else. And I just, you know, whatever. I guess it was nice to see things from his perspective, but it did not add in any way anything to the story that was productive, or it didn't enhance the story at all, which I think it should have. So I gave that one 2 stars. And then lastly, the last book I read was Blue Flame by Jill Shalvis. This is book 2 in her Firefighter series. And on audio, it was narrated by Laura Heisler. The narration was not something I thought was going to be great at first. And had I listened to it at just normal speed, I would have gotten really impatient and DNF'd it. But at 1.5 times the speed, it was decent. She was a good narrator in that she kind of disappeared into the background. She got all the emotions and the personifications right. I think she did them well. Other things like inflection and pausing and phrasing and cadence, all of that was pretty good. I wouldn't say that it was above average, but it was good. So that was one that was saved by speeding it up. Yeah. So the story I expected to be about a firefighter, because this is the second book in a 3-book series that she's done. I read the first book, but it's been a while ago, and it was about a guy who is a firefighter, and he goes to Mexico to help out with fires down there. This is about a firefighter who gets hurt and has to have his shoulder pretty much entirely reconstructed. And so he is recovering. He's doubting whether or not he can go back and be a firefighter again. He goes to Arizona to a ranch, a dude ranch that he owns. And it's being run by a woman who wants to buy it. I don't think he's aware that she wants to buy it, but it becomes then the story of their romance. So this isn't a book about firefighters. It's a book about cowboys and dude ranches and, ranch hands and all that kind of thing. There's a little bit of a mystery going on. I mean, I pretty much figured it out. And if I can figure it out, it's, I'd say predictable. But still, it's still Shalvis, and it didn't turn me off the series at all. So I will probably pick up the third book, probably not anytime soon, but it was on my iPod and I thought, let's get this off the iPod. Let's listen to this book because apparently you wanted to listen to this book at one point or another. So I did. I gave it 2 stars. I may up that to 3. I'd say 2.5. I could probably up it to 3. It didn't blow me away like her more recent books have, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, if you like Jill Shalvis, I would say, yeah, go ahead and read it. You're not going to love it like you might love Lucky Harbor, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. So yeah. Currently, I am reading the second book in the Dreamland series on my iPad. That is called The Divide. And then by E.J. Mellow, and then I'm listening to The Foxe and the Hound, which is by R.S. Gray and is narrated by Lucy Christian and Joe Arden. Really liking it. I'm really liking it. It's about a vet and a girl who is a real estate agent, and her life is going nowhere. He is recovering from a failed relationship in Chicago, and now they're down in Texas. And so, yeah, it's going well. I'm really enjoying it. And, a lot of that has to do with the narration. That was my week. That's what I'm currently reading. That was the fun I got with getting books in the mail. Let me know what you're reading this weekend. And it's a beautiful sunny day finally, but it's still freezing cold. And I'm cold actually right now. And I'm trying to think, what should I go get to drink that's hot? I mean, I've had 2 cups of coffee today, so I don't think I need any more of that, but maybe hot chocolate, maybe hot tea. I'm not really a tea drinker, really at all. It doesn't have enough body to it, or, I don't know what it is that coffee has that tea doesn't have, but whatever that is, that's what I'm missing. Although I do have a powdered chai that maybe I'll try that. Yeah. So let me know what you're reading. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.